stop being lazy. Yeah. And I became creative. And I learned how to create it. And now that pride's for me. So come see. Oh, come here.
All right, y'all. Welcome to the Silver Lining Rapid React to the Falcons Seahawks embarrassment that we had to witness today on our Sunday. Like we don't all work Monday through Friday, and we spend our off time watching the Falcons. My name is Sterlington. This is my co-host Cam Turner. We ain't fucking with the Falcons right now, so I'm not super excited like I normally am. Um, Please like and subscribe if you like the content though. Because I ain't gonna lie, we about to get in some ass today. All right. So where we about to start at, Cam? You wanna go first, or you want me to go first, man?
I'm gonna let you take the wheel, man. I'm gonna let you take the
All
wheel.
right, y'all. So this is a game where Bijan Robinson rushed for 100 yards and a touchdown. He did so much damage and so much work, and we lost by 20. One of the things that I said coming into this game that I thought was going to be a boom for us was turnover differential. I was like, hey, man, we really pushing even. Them boys, they kind of behind on turnovers. Not only did we not get a turnover, we turned the ball over 3 times. Kirk with 2 picks and a fumble that turned into a touchdown for the Seattle defense. Um, we didn't really get run over as much as I thought, but boy, the pass coverage was straight buns in the first half. Like, and what sucks about it was one of the things we complained about the most as Falcons fans was that we wasn't putting them in third and longs, was that we were playing too soft. They decided to play man coverage a lot today. And they blitzed, they did whatever they needed to get pressure. We got lots of pressure today. So this is a game we look at. We see we got plenty of pressure, right? We see we switched to a more aggressive coverage. And goddamn boy, AJ Terrell was the little drummer boy. But he wasn't the boy, he was the drum. He was getting beat like that all damn day in the first half. Right? And it's that shit that we getting tired of. We getting kind of, getting tired of the all right, we get slapped up in the first half and then we turn it on in the second half. Because then we came out in the second half and couldn't turn it on offensively, couldn't we slowed them down defensively, but the game was lost cause by then. Right? Offense only scored 14 points today, despite how well they were able to move the ball. Kirk turned the ball over 3 times. What else? We ran the ball. We ran the ball really well, and because we couldn't keep the game under control, we couldn't just stick with that. You know what I'm saying? We got into positions where we kind of needed to pass, and when we needed to pass against this defense that was, missing guys on the perimeter, um, we couldn't abuse them. We couldn't take the game over. I'm real disappointed with the result and how it played out because one of the things that I thought, so people were, concerned about the game last week. I was like, that's a division game, whatever, whatever. This was the game that I said that we needed to come out and put our foot down and assert ourselves. We got a team that's reeling. We got a team that's fighting for their season. This is one of those games where you want to come out in full force, and you want to say, hey, we're not going to be your get right game. And that's one of the worst parts about this feeling, right? The parts that feels extremely familiar. It's not the loss, right? It's the fact that it's one of the more memorable ways of falconing, right? It's when the Falcons come in and they're the get right game for somebody else, right? So many times in the past, oh, this team hasn't rushed for 100 yards in 15 straight games, and they're playing the Falcons. Oh, wow, they rushed for 200 yards today. And then the next week, well, they're back to their old ways. They just can't get to 100 yards rushing, but they could do it for the Falcons. They could do it in Atlanta. Guys who had guys getting their first career touchdowns, that happened in that to us. Guys who on bad streaks, they always get right against us. This was one of those games where Seattle was giving up 35 points a game over the last three. They come into Atlanta, they only give up 14. They get 3 turnovers, including a defensive touchdown. They were still, and then the other thing too was they really didn't run the ball that well, so we still kept them in check on the ground. We still let them beat them. They didn't stop to run that well. We still ran all over them. We literally still took advantage of all of the things that they did poorly, and we still lost handily. And Koo missed the field goal. That was another Falcon thing. You know what I'm saying? That I pointed out, noticing that, hey, over the years, when you see the kicker miss a field goal, he probably shouldn't miss. That's a bad sign. That's a bad omen. And in this game, Koo missed the field goal. And to be fair, it was a long field goal. It wasn't you know,
It was 54 yards.
yeah, it's a missable field goal. But that shit feels a lot less palatable when the kicker for the other team kicks a stadium record 59-yard field goal against us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not really now maybe when I calm down and we talk about it later, I'll be feeling calm. I'll give that the respect it deserves. But ultimately, is that you or me?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, okay. But ultimately, uh when the other team's kicker comes in and kicks a kick that is even longer, and we have the knowledge knowing that Younghoe Koo is trying a different type of kick, that shit feels a lot less palatable, right? We got lots of pressure. The D line played pretty decent. Now on some of the drives in the first half, we were a little shaky on how we stopped the run. But other things that happened too was, man, them penalties that turned third downs into first downs. Oh my God.
Or turn third and shorts into third and longs for us.
So many times we had the worst time penalties, right? And bad time penalties that seem stupid, like Damon Harris. I really was excited for him to get a chance to play. I read the little I don't remember if it was a Players Tribune story or something like that, but I read it about him and how he had bounced around, and he was one of those guys who he had kind of showed up pretty decent everywhere, but uh he hadn't gotten a chance to really get to play. And he came in and he got pressure on Gino that turned into a rough in the intentional grounding call. And I was like, hey, man, good for Damon. You know what I'm saying? I was happy for him. And then he get a rough in the passer penalty that he got no fucking business getting. And then they end up scoring a touchdown after. Right? We gave them lots of extra chances. We uh turned the ball over. We didn't force any turnovers. We were piss poor in coverage. Like some of the big plays they had were just completely and utterly unacceptable. They were some of the most Falcon-esque big plays I'd ever seen. Like that play, the Jackson Smith and Jigba deep pass, the DK Metcalf.
And that
That
horrendous display of coverage by AJ Terrell. Oh my God.
No, it wasn't just the coverage. I know exactly what happened. That was a DB play. That was the kind of play that show you why some guys are receivers and some guys are DBs. AJ Terrell's depth perception was off on that. He threw it up and it went up real high, and AJ Terrell couldn't quite tell where it was coming down at, but DK could, and he faded back into the throwing lane and caught it right in front of AJ. AJ saw. AJ had good coverage. AJ saw the play. He didn't get fooled by the reverse action to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Jackson Smith and Jigba threw a horrible ball. AJ was right there. And if AJ had better ball skills and if AJ had good depth perception, he probably would have made a play on that. He probably would have made a pick on that. But that's not what happened. And then that play before the half, that touchdown, that shit was unacceptable.
That was the one, and that was when I really started to think that this is going to be an L. And normally I don't condone going for fourth downs that early in the game. but given how it was going, my thought process: if we give Seattle the ball back with 1:30 left, I don't trust our defense to make a stop. And
Yeah, but you trust them to not give up a fucking touchdown. Like I thought
no, I
that
don't.
we'd at
No, I
least
don't
just
trust
give up
them.
a field goal. I saw them first two passes. I was like, all right, at least a field goal out of this. But hold on, let me see if I got some else for
And
you.
the thing is, no, I don't. I don't trust them to just give up a field goal because we're 6 games in and they have given up touchdowns.
Matter of fact, I
When
think
we
I want
play,
to say that play, that touchdown, came after the intentional grounding. So let's see what notes we got. That was yep, yep. That was the second and long, a third and long after Demond Harris with the pressure and caused an intentional grounding by Geno Smith, and then turn around and give up a goddamn 40-yard touchdown. That shit unacceptable.
oh, absolutely,
That shit unacceptable.
absolutely, man. That is unacceptable, man. And this is back-to-back weeks. We have given up last-second touchdowns in the first half of the game when we could potentially close games out earlier.
And look,
This was not a position to close the game out, but this was a position to keep it close. We could have,
yeah,
and we got the ball back at half and scored immediately. We could have taken the lead.
could have been
But
up 14-10.
exactly, man. And it's little things like that. And watching this game, it's not the fact that we lost. It's what you said. It's how we served them up like a waiter. Here's your W, sir. We gave it to them. Now, one part of that was us, or them taking it from us. It was us giving them the W. Our defense was lax, and I'm going to talk about that. We're gonna have a discussion about Jimmy Lake. We're gonna have a discussion because we had one about Zach, and it's only
We did.
and it's only fair we have one about Jimmy too.
Yeah,
So,
you are 100% right, sir. We damn sure did have that discussion about Zach, and I think it's time to look at Jimmy. I don't think we look at this defense as one that is utterly devoid of talent. But also, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I said, one of the things that to me that was discouraging was that be honest with me. Do you think this was a coaching failure on defense or Jimmy's and Joe's failure?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'd say, if I'm leaning, I'd say it's 70% coaching, 30% players. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to flip that because we're
Oh, okay.
7 games in. We're 7 games into the season. We have 6 sacks. We put Lorenzo Carter on IR because he can't buy a sack, and our defense just can't produce pressure. It just can't happen. We did a little bit today, but even still, Geno tore us apart. So it was pointless pressure, and then our DBs weren't able to cover, and then people were getting exposed, and then we can't tackle, and then we're costing ourselves with penalties. This was a colossal failure. And then
That's why I'm more in on the Jimmys and
and
Joes.
actually,
Like the some of them penalties we got, don't look, that roughing and passing penalty on Demond Harris. Like the coach, I can't hold the coach for that. I'm like, God damn, boy. Like because the ball mainly because the ball was gone so far before the penalty. Right?
yes.
When it's close and that happens, hey, you at the mercy of the speed of the game. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it'd be like that, but that didn't seem like that was the case. It seemed like we really came back down to earth as far as ability to separate from man coverage on offense. Now the Seahawks got some bodies back on their D line. They got pressure on us. Kirk, I think he took a little bit of a step back.
And that's what
Now
he's good. It's Kirktober, baby. He's catching on in this month. But
that was I was not satisfied with some of his decisions under pressure. Now the picks, I'm not even talking about the picks. And so now the fumble, I'm blaming on Kirk. I'm very much of the mindset that quarterbacks need to have a clock in their head, and that when they start seeing a certain amount of danger, you know who you are, right? If you Lamar Jackson, you try to run away and escape. If you Patrick Mahomes, you try to run away and escape. If you like one of these guys that's a little more on the mobile side, you try to escape that pressure, right? When you're Kirk Cousins, your value is in not turning the ball over. Your value is in being an adult. Your value is in knowing that in them situations where you got a guy that does not have a blocker in between you and the defender that's coming at you, you need to get rid of that ball, even if that means you throwing it at a receiver's feet. All right. He didn't do that, and then the guys would get to him in just enough time to make a play on the actual pass. It happened a couple times that game, and one of them resulted in a turnover that was taken to the house. I want to say that on the picks, those were just passes he threw a little too high. Um, I don't really know what to make about that because that's one of those things. When I look at it, I'll say, hey, it's we got forced into passing. So they played accordingly, obviously. But he hadn't shown that he himself to be doing that all year. As far as like, that's a consistent issue that I see, every week, right? So I cut him a little grace on that. But that's they basically the Seahawks did what I didn't think they were capable of doing. I knew this offense still had more room to grow, right? I looked at the offense, I said, hey, if we face a defense that can play tight, sticky coverage, physical coverage, throw off the timer, and can get pressure, then we're gonna be in some trouble. I did not view this version of the Seattle Seahawks as a team capable of doing that. Now I know they had their mini bye. I know they played the 3 games in 10 games, but that's still no excuse for what we saw today, to me.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And especially with how we lost, and like, the Seahawks are riddled with injuries on their secondary. Riddled with injuries. That team is riddled with.
To good players too, not like bozos. Like Tariq
Yeah,
Woolen's a pretty good corner.
they riddled with injuries, and they still had their way with us. We just could not capitalize on anything. And granted, I will say this: now that I've had a time to granted, this is a rapid reaction, so we're just
Right.
cutting it off the cuff. But I've had time to think about it, and although I do think this team has taken a step in the right direction, we haven't taken the next step in regards to being a true contender, like a true NFC contender, like a playoff contender,
That's
NFC
true.
championship contender. We haven't taken that next step yet. It's coming, and I believe we're on the right trajectory. But this game showed our flaws. And granted, I'm glad we had this game now because we've been smelling ourselves a little bit. We've been feeling ourselves 4-2, feeling good, 3-0 in the division. This is a come back to earth game. And unfortunately, it sucks because it ruined my Sunday. Hell, it ruined my week. But this was a come back to earth game. So I'm hoping we learn the lessons and hey, we can't take any week for granted. We need to come back, focus on the intent, focus on playing clean football, no penalties, because that costs us as well. These goddamn penalties. No penalties, no drops. Because some of those drops, granted, it was a high pass, but Drake, you got both hands on that ball. You can't drop that. That caused an interception. We can't
Yep.
have that happen. It's just little things, man. It's the little things we got to improve on. And I see it trending in the right direction, but this game definitely showed us, oh yeah, y'all like the team y'all think y'all are yet. So go back in the drawing room and tighten up.
So the part for me that I think is disappointing is they kind of the team I did think they were, but they were a lower level of that team than I thought. I thought it was going to take a good, I thought it was going to take a great team because the Seahawks are a good team. You know what I'm saying? They fell on some hard times, but I also looked at who they played. I said, hey, okay, y'all play good quarterbacks. And when y'all play good quarterbacks, you guys got exposed. And then they come in here and, they did play a lot of games against good teams in a short amount of time. That does need to be acknowledged. Um, but the thing that's annoying, like I said, is we knew they were going to come in ready to play. You know what I'm saying? They season was reeling. They trying to get the ship, back on track.
Oh, we absolutely got out. They
You know,
out.
the thing that pissed me off about this is that when, you know, I'm looking at my weekend this weekend and I'm like, all right, you know, went to one of my close friends' baby shower. It's a good time seeing him, seeing his wife, seeing all the folks, you know, making some new friends. It was all a great time. Had a good time helping them celebrate that, you know. Then went to a birthday party later that night. Had a great time. You know what I'm saying? Caught up with some people. It was an excellent time. University of Georgia. They hey, walked in Texas trap, took their trap. It was a great game.
Despite shitty refereeing,
You know
trying
what
to
I'm saying?
the game.
Yeah, because Georgia was ready today, and you know, and Texas was ranked number 1, so that was nice to come in there and, you know, beat Texas, especially when you know, Alabama lost too. So Georgia is trending in the right direction for things. You know, maybe they'll have to play Alabama again in an SEC title game if they get there, because Tennessee did look very good, and Georgia will have to play them. But it is a 12 team playoff, so I'm not too worried about that now. But um, this is also the most Falcon thing ever. I'm having a great weekend. You know, Georgia do what they supposed to for me to feel good. My personal life, I got things going on that's fun, that's going on, that feels good. And then the part where I'm like, oh boy,
The Falcons at
still gotta
home,
watch the Falcons.
at home against a team that's reeling, against a team that has some of their best players on IR. Oh, of course the Falcons are going to lose this game.
Boy, too much good has been going on for me to feel for that to happen, for that to be just a cherry on top, and boom, locked in good weekend. Oh my God. And in the way I checked out, I'm here taking notes to help me memorize the plays, help me, you know, say, okay, this happened, this happened. Yeah, no. The Falcons didn't have it today. Falcons ain't have it today. And the crazy part is, you know, we gotta go. You know what's crazy? You wanna know what's real crazy?
What's up?
The Falcons have 3 losses this year. All 3 losses are at home. These boys suck in the bins. They stink in the bins. We got that win against Tampa. You know, that was great. We got that win against the Saints. Always fuck the Saints. Always down to beat the Saints. Nothing will ever change how I feel about that. That's cool, right? But lost to the Steelers, lost to the Chiefs, and now we getting curb stomped by the Seahawks at home. What the hell up with this team, man? Like, even the game they
Um,
won, even the game one of the games they won against the Saints, they didn't score an offensive touchdown. That, you know, they scored one that they called back because of a bullshit block penalty holding. But like, what's going on with the team at home, man?
I think it's just what was going on with the team in general, man. We're we're trending in the right. This game not so much, but as a team, as an organization, I think we're trending in the right direction. But we're gonna have games like this where, unfortunately, we're gonna fall back in the Falcon ways, where we're gonna give the other team a game. Like it's gonna be like, oh, this is a game we should win, but we're just gonna find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Granted,
And like,
the Seahawks
let
beat the dog shit out of us this game. They beat the dog shit out of us,
they
but
did,
we
man.
but we gave it to them with 3 fucking turnovers. Like we
Right, more than
passed
just the
ball well.
turnover,
We
and the
ran the ball well.
timeliness, man. The timeliness of the turnovers, the timeliness of the penalties. You know what I'm saying? Timing is everything. You can have all of those things as long as they at the right time.
And this is a game, everything happened at the wrong time.
But like, man,
A 3rd and 5 turned to a 3rd and 10 because of a false start. Play getting extended because of pass interference or holding or roughing the passer. Just giving them, you can't give. This is a game of inches. You can't give anybody anything. And we just,
no.
on our best waiter impression, served them up and just, here you go. Here's an all-star special. You ready?
Yo, man. Give them boys say, hey, while y'all in town, let us show you some Waffle House service. Nah, my bad, because in Waffle House they fight you back. So like, maybe we ain't gonna go ahead and give them that distinction. But
Yeah, yeah, no fight back today.
look, this what we'll do. All right. So
Oh, we didn't even talk about Jimmy
um
Lake yet. We didn't get to Jimmy.
look, They trying something different. They've been trying something different the last couple games. They tried something different this game. The part that disappointed me was that it looked like we couldn't handle it. We got the pressure that we wanted. Honestly, it kind of looked like Terrell couldn't handle it.
It does.
Mike Hughes had some good reps in coverage. D. Alford had some good reps in coverage. Nobody got really beat for an explosive play except Terrell like that in the passing game. Then there was that play that touchdown they threw to Kenneth Walker. That's specifically the kind of play you want Troy Anderson for. That is specifically the kind of play you want Troy Anderson for because we don't want Kate Nellis in that. Honestly, the problem with the linebacking group is that we got a group of specialists, right? Like that could have been Nate Landman or Kate Nellis. It didn't matter. Both of them would have got beat on that play. Troy is the only guy who's going to play linebacker who can properly defend that play, right? Nate is basically he is at his he's an okay run defender who is at his best when he's blitzing, right? Clearly the best blitzer on the team, and that's saying a lot because we got some good blitzers, but he's definitely the best. Nate Landman is the best run defender of the group, and Troy Anderson is pretty much the best all around and the best pass receiver. So Troy's the most versatile. I'll give him that, but Troy is still a specialist at the core. And with Troy out, those types of plays where guys gonna get isolated against the running back, they're gonna always get exposed, right? Look, honestly, the truth is Seattle came ready to play. They came in prepared. They played good situational ball. We specifically played poorly in situational football, and this was what we got out of it. So I guess look, I want to leave with a couple of positives, right? So one of the positives I'm gonna try to leave you with is ask yourself this, right? And then this is where perspective matters. What did you think the Falcons' record was going to be after 7 games? Did you have the Falcons winning 4 games after 7 games?
I didn't have us 4-3. I had us.
Most people didn't have us 4-3. And guess what?
I had us. Honestly,
how many points the Falcons lost by today?
Like 20.
Does that how many losses do you get for a 20-point loss?
Out of 7 games?
No. How many losses does a 20-point loss count for?
Oh, just one.
Just one.
Just one loss, man.
So it's a bad loss. It's a Sunday ruining loss. It's a Falcon loss. It's a lot of negative to take from this. But at the end of the day, you didn't expect this team to be 4 wins in, 7 games into the year. At the end of the day, a 20-point loss or a 1-point loss still counts as one loss, right? Sometimes you need a loss to help you get back focused, right?
And that's my second takeaway point. That's my positive point out of this. This loss happened game 7 of the season, and we're 4-3. It could be so much worse. Preseason I had us maybe like 2-5, 1-6. We 4-3, man.
And look, let's be real now.
Again, I didn't know what kind of Kirk we was gonna get, but Kirk is showing me that he can be a baller. So he can't move, but he can still be a baller. So like his clock has got to be a little bit better. But aside from that, this was a good loss. I'm glad it happened now. Hell, I'm kind of glad it happened at home. Like we needed this. We needed to get our teeth kicked in.
I ain't happy that shit happened at home. I'm upset about that.
If we lost like this,
you by yourself with that one, brother.
I mean, I ain't happy, but I ain't go to the game, so I don't give a fuck. But a loss is a loss. A road loss, a home loss is whatever. A loss is a loss. I'm glad it's painful. Good. Let's use this pain in week 7 to get right for the rest of the season. Because we got Tampa Bay, and their offense is cooking right now. And they can actually stop the run. So Kirk is going to have to be able to – he might have to play some hero ball in Tampa next week. So we'll see how things play out.
Hey man, look.
And I think I like
I,
Raheem. I like
I,
Raheem. I like Kirk. I like how this team is going, and I think we'll come back. We'll bounce back from this.
I'll say this other thing, with regards to, things to stay positive about, right? So when you have a game where timeliness matters like the way it did and turnovers matter, um, I don't feel necessarily like this is a game that we look at and say, oh no, we saw some serious flaws today that other teams going to be able to consistently exploit, right? Like an example for those, wondering, when Philadelphia rolled into the into New Orleans. Well, I don't know what the hell what they got the little seasons done now. I don't give a fuck. When Philly rolled in New Orleans, I don't know who watched that game. I watched that game because the Falcons didn't play till later that night. I felt like after watching that game, we saw some serious flaws that got exposed that other teams could and did use against the Saints for the rest of the year. And then they started having players getting hurt. So those flaws started becoming greater and greater, like their inability to stop the run, their shakiness and pass protection. Those things got worse and worse. And now they're getting hurt on the perimeter, right? But in this game, I look at it and I say, the Falcons still ran the ball well. The Falcons, they tried something different on defense and got a different result. So maybe they need to switch it up a little more. Maybe they need to mix in zone and man to different degrees. Maybe they need to look at maybe putting Terrell on and what some teams do, right? Or things I've seen teams do in the past is they take their top corner and they don't match him up with the other team's best receiver. They put him on the one-on-one on the team's second best receiver, and then they double up the best receiver, right? So that might be something we have to look at. Maybe we can't. When we've got a receiver that's real big and physical, Terrell might just have to guard the other receiver one-on-one, and then we double up on the number one for the other team to try to get those guys out of the game. So there's things to stay positive about in this. I'm not gonna try to blow any smoke up anyone's ass. I'm a fan too. I'm upset. I didn't like how this played out. I didn't like what I saw today. But I don't think it's time to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right? It's a long season. We did not expect the Falcons to go 15-2. All right, they lost two. We knew more losses were going to come at some point. This was one. It was very ugly how they lost, but I don't think it's time to abandon ship. All right, and we got a big game next week against a divisional opponent. They play Monday, so they're gonna have a slightly shorter week. They play a physical opponent Monday. We'll see how they look. Maybe Baltimore can show us something we can use against them. We'll see. Cam, did you have anything else you want to close with?
No, I think that was perfect, man. Um, it's a loss that you can look at, and hopefully the team moves past it in a productive manner, and I think they will. I believe in Raheem. I think they have the right people in house. Kirk is going to steer the ship in the right direction. I'm confident. It sucks. We're on my Sunday, but like you said, no need to throw everything out just yet.
All right, then. Well, you heard the man. You heard me. I'm also the man. So you heard the men that are black, not the men in black, the men that are black. But all right, guys. Really appreciate you hanging out with us especially after a loss like this. I know ain't nobody want to talk about hear about look at no Falcon content right now. I'm definitely one of them. But hey, look, let's be real. That's what we here for. All right. We are your family. We your brothers. And the Falcons are our abusive stepfather that, we got to band together against to get through. All right. So, let's just go ahead and get through this one and focus on next week. All right, guys. Appreciate you hanging out. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you want to say anything, please go ahead, jump down in the comments. Otherwise, you guys do your best to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace.